Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So got another theory for y'all today. This one is going to be potentially really interesting. There's not a lot that holds up this theory, but I've been thinking about it for a while, like for a really long time, and it may not necessarily be ready to unveil and have everyone join sort of my team as far as this theory goes. But I think there is now, because there was some recently supporting evidence for this theory, it's time to really unleash it and see what the general public thinks about it. And so what this theory is going to be about, it's going to be about the ancient kingdom and where they resided from. So let's get started. So the recent evidence that came out that really supported this theory is, let's take a look at the Kouzuki clan emblem. Remember that the Kouzukis, they created the poneglyphs that carried the history of the ancient kingdom. So we can basically look at it like this: the Kouzuki family and the ancient kingdom were either the same entity or very close allies. And so you look at this flag, and I mentioned this in another theory, but I'm going to mention it again. Look at it and tell me that it does not resemble a Jolly Roger. If you say it doesn't, well then you're lying, because it looks like one. The only thing it's missing is missing the skull, but you can see the crossbones, and it could potentially be altered to change what it originally looked like. So it could have had a skull and then they replaced that with, you know, the swan or whatever that bird is in the center of the flag, or something along those lines. But the fact that it has the crossed bones clearly is extremely fascinating. It makes you wonder if the Kouzuki clan were historically pirates. Also notice that this symbol is tattooed on the subordinates of the Kouzuki family, just like how we see happens with pirates. And then another detail about the people associated with the ancient kingdom that's really interesting is that there's, generally speaking, one thing that I think ties all the D's together. There's actually a couple things, but this is the one thing I want to mention here, is that all the D's seem to like freedom. Which is to say that even if they're a Marine or they're a pirate or whatever they may be, they desire for their own personal freedom, and most of the time the freedom of others as well. So look at Monkey D. Garp. Garp decided not to become an admiral and stay a vice admiral because he liked the freedom that the position of vice admiral offered him, despite his qualification to be an admiral. We see the same thing with Luffy and with Gold D. Roger. Luffy, that's the one thing that he values more than anything else, is freedom, and the reason that he wants to become the Pirate King is so that he can be the freest man on the sea. And for Gold D. Roger, I think Gold D. Roger was the same way. He was just a man who was going out to sea looking for personal freedom. And when it comes to all the D's, when someone tries to impose their will on them, generally speaking, they're not really very receptive to it. We can see that when we look at Sal D. Jaguar, however you pronounce his name, he sees what happens to the Oharans and he rejects it. He rejects the idea of it, and then goes, and even though he's a Marine and has dedicated his entire life to doing that, he went and saved Nico Robin's mother, despite the consequences that would come from that. And this is a trait of somebody who doesn't want other people to tell them what's right and what's wrong or what to do. And so, in short, this is a trait that I think is most common among pirates, that if you have this trait, then you're kind of more likely than not to become a pirate. Now, that doesn't mean they have to become pirates, but it's a great trait to have if you intend on becoming a pirate, because that's great motivation to go out to sea and sort of say fuck it to the establishment. So here I've sort of been developing the connection between the ancient kingdom and pirates, right? Alright, let's now take this a step further. I got this probably from Beck. I've had this in my head a long time, so I'm not really sure where it came from, but I'm pretty sure Beck did the first theory really dissecting Binks Sake, which is a song that Brooks sings that's a really old pirate song. And so while I don't necessarily agree with Beck's original theory, I am going to credit him for maybe inspiring this particular idea, which would be sort of the importance of Binks Sake within the confines of the entire story. One of the things that I find most interesting about Binks Sake is Oda spent his own time of many years in advance of when it would come into the story writing Binks Sake, and you can tell that from the way that it's written. It's a very well written song, but you can also see that and Oda even says this, that he tried to make it basically as PG as possible so that it could potentially be included in schools and textbooks and stuff. But ultimately it couldn't be anyway, regardless of Oda's actions, because it has the word sake in it, which basically forbids it from being included in textbooks. And so why would Oda include the word sake into his song if he's so dead set on it, being for all audiences? And I think this speaks to the importance of the word sake within the song. So I'm going to steal this from Beck, and I got this from Beck, but he talks about sake in his post and about what it could potentially symbolize, and I agree with this almost completely, which is that he thinks that sake refers to the beginning until the end of a journey. So basically that sake is drunk in Japanese culture from birth until death, and that he thinks that sake in the terms of this particular song means the beginning until the end of the journey, or the entirety of a journey. We can also see within the confines of One Piece as well that the sharing of sake cups makes people brothers, and that it may not necessarily be related. And this could also add meaning to Binks Sake. So I just want you to sort of keep this in mind for later. But basically the purpose of Binks Sake is it tells a story, basically a journey from beginning to end, where you have them set out for the journey and all the sunshine and the roses, and then you basically go through the troubled times until eventually either you complete the journey, or as the song goes, that even if you don't worry, even if you don't complete the journey, that another day will come or another moon will rise. So what this means to me is simply that if you do fail, then somebody else will inherit your will and continue on the journey. So when reading through Binks Sake, it also reminds me very strongly of Gold Roger's famous quote that has inspired many famous theories within the One Piece community, which is this: inherited will, the destiny of the age, and the dreams of its people. These are things that will not be stopped. As long as people continue to pursue the meaning of freedom, these things will never cease to be. And we know that Gold Roger is heavily associated with the poneglyphs, which are the ideals, writings, history of the people of the Ancient Kingdom. Going back to the Binks Sake song, it's actually really interesting as well which people are shown to be singing this song or know something about this song. Brook knows a lot about Binks Sake, clearly. Luffy knows that this song from hearing it from Shanks and his crew. Robin has also heard of this song, having listened to it when she was a young girl. This song was also a favorite of Yorkie's, and then additionally within the song basically mentions the phrase do it with a Don, which is the same kind of phrase that we hear from Tom. So it certainly wouldn't be surprising if Tom was also very familiar with this song Binks Sake. And so if we look at these people and their connection with people that are associated with the Ancient Kingdom, Tom predicted the blueprints of Pluton. Robin, who was a child when the O'Haran scholars were trying to decipher the poneglyphs, the O'Harans, first of all, were probably descendants of the Ancient Kingdom, or they were protectors of the poneglyph, and they historically had some sort of tie with the Ancient Kingdom. Additionally, they were reading a poneglyph, and it could have been that Binks Sake was mentioned on their particular poneglyph. Shanks has probably ventured to Raftel, and at the very least has heard a lot about the poneglyphs through his connection with Roger and being on Roger's crew. Brook and Yorkie's connection to the Ancient Kingdom is definitely not clear at this moment, but they definitely seem like the type of people who, when it's all said and done, would have been somehow related to the Ancient Kingdom. So this is just a further connection between pirates and the Ancient Kingdom. And so I'm going to go out on a limb now, and I'm going to bring this theory all the way around, which is that I wonder if the Ancient Kingdom was a normal kingdom, or maybe was the kingdom of the people of the sea back during the Void Century, which is that maybe there wasn't an island that housed the Ancient Kingdom. Maybe the Ancient Kingdom were the pirates of that particular age, a powerful kingdom of pirates. And the king of these powerful group of pirates who controlled the sea, were people of the sea, would be known as the Pirate King. And so there's more that supports this theory than just this. Look at the connections that the Ancient Kingdom had with the world. We see allies of the Ancient Kingdom everywhere. starting from under the sea with the fishmen. Then we have all the way through the Grand Line, from the closest to the entrance of the Grand Line to all the way out in the New World. You have allies of the Ancient Kingdom. And how would they have made allies with people so far away from each other? Because these people were travelers. They could navigate the sea. We also know that Raftel is some sort of huge island for the Ancient Kingdom. This is at the very least because the poneglyphs specifically indicate Raftel as a destination that can only really be found by following the poneglyphs. This also suggests that the Ancient Kingdom were the best sailors to ever exist. Before Gold Roger, the pirate king, found Raftel, the only people who found Raftel were the people of the Ancient Kingdom. And we even see that one of their ancient weapons, weapons that could destroy the world, there's only 3 of them in the entire existence. One of them being a person. The only one that we know for sure has been built is a ship. A ship for a kingdom of pirates definitely makes a lot of sense. And then my very last point, going back to Binks Sake, it's mentioned that basically the point of the story of Binks Sake, or the point of the song, is they're going to go deliver Binks Sake. And as I said earlier, I got this from Beck, and I'll link his channel here within my theory. But going back to what Beck said that sake represents the journey. Going to deliver, or maybe a better way to put it to convey my point better, is a story of someone's life from birth until death. And so if somebody's going to go deliver Binks Sake, it could be interpreted potentially as going to go deliver Binks' story. And we know that the poneglyphs must be followed in order to get the story of the Ancient Kingdom. And I wonder if this song was created after the Ancient Kingdom had fallen. And basically it's meant to inspire the people of the Ancient Kingdom, or are also called the D's, it's commonly theorized, to basically keep their heads up that one day somebody will come to go and finish delivering Binks, whoever Bink may be, his story, which could be the story of the Ancient Kingdom. And so actually I lied, there's one more thing I want to talk about, which is that we know for sure that the D's are not related by blood, because we see a giant and Jaguar D Soul be a D, as well as regular humans, and they can't possibly be related. So we know that the D initial isn't a blood-related type of initial. And so going back to Binks Sake and the word sake and its potential interpretations, we know earlier from within the story that Luffy and Ace and Sabo are brothers because they shared sake cups. I wonder if the D's became brothers or share the D symbol or the D name because back in the past the D's ancestors all shared sake cups to forever cement their brotherhood. So yeah, that's it. Obviously this theory needs more support, I think, to be commonly accepted, but I think it's really cool. There are definitely some ties here, and I feel like it was finally time to go ahead and put this put this theory out there for others to see. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment if you have something to say. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to be notified for my future videos. And as always, have a wonderful day.